Welcome back with my very esteemed panel tonight to discuss more about prostate cancer and lipid biopsy that I'm very intrigued about. Here we'll begin with Dr. Abubakar, who'll be telling us more about prostate cancer. Perhaps you can give us your detailed title. So you're an oncologist, or generally you manage screening processes, sir?
Yes.
You're an oncologist.
No, I'm not an oncologist.
Okay.
My name is Dr. Abubakar. Thanks for inviting me. I'm a surgical resident.
Okay.
Yeah, I work in Mata Hospital.
All right.
Yes.
Okay. And then we have Dr. Laban, rather Mr. Laban over there, who is in the marketing of the bioinformatics of this lipid biopsy.
Yes.
Yes, right?
It's liquid biopsy.
Liquid biopsy.
Liquid biopsy.
Yes.
And I'm doing the computational biology behind cancer.
Right.
At Massive Genomics.
Okay, so this is a field that even I'm getting very in tune to. Some of these words are quite new for me, so you will excuse me. And we have Mr. Eliel Cheriot, who's also the same liquid biopsy. So you guys work together. All right, so liquid biopsy is relatively new. And this is like a non-invasive sort of treatment. And prevention is always that we know that prevention is better than cure. I'll start with you, Elia. What is this liquid biopsy? Non-invasive, is this a breakthrough, a milestone in cancer? How would you best describe this?
Okay, I can best describe liquid biopsy as a new technology which is there. It is the only way whereby you can remove blood. You just need blood for you to test cancer. By removing blood, just 10 ml,
yes,
you are able to sequence the genes, go through the genes, then you will be able to know which type of a gene which type of a gene went to become cancer.
All right. So they say they have over 400 oncogenes, or genes that can grow and become cancerous. If not checked within the body's genetic structure, liquid biopsy is done here. What do you have to add on to that, and how do you sort of break this down to us in terms of 400 oncogenes?
So basically, behind every cancer, we have genes driving the cancer.
Yes.
So previously, it was impossible to examine all these genes. Computational analysis and machines have enabled us to look at all those genes simultaneously in about 2 to 3 days. Previously, it took about 2,000 scientists to do that for the first time, and they took about $3 billion and about 4 or 5 years. So we can do that in 2 days. So basically, we are using machines called sequencers. So basically, in the field of medicine, we are bringing in computers. Previously, the older generation of doctors have been using microscopes and all that. Now we are bringing large supercomputers to the field of biology and medicine.
Right. So this is really interesting in terms of this. You could say this is a breakthrough. I mean, it is saving on time. Right, but here's the thing, Dr. Do you find this intriguing, considering we're so, used to the CT scans, the PET scans, the myriad tests that come through, before scanning someone for cancer, breaking the news. But this is a milestone, don't you think?
Yeah.
What's your take on that, sir?
It's quite exciting. I mean, okay, it makes sense because the human genome was completed years ago.
Yeah.
Okay, it's not yet in Kenya, but I think that will be it because usually cancer patients are subjected to a myriad of tests, CT scans, biopsies.
Some of which the treatments are not even here.
Exactly.
Right? But today you had a massive turnout, and I think you were expecting about 200 people.
Exactly.
And we had 400 people who actually ended up at the Mata Hospital tonight, viewers, and this was unexpected. So what does that tell us? Does that tell us that awareness is really beginning to take place among men? And, but generally they're really shy. Why, Dr. Why are men usually shy about this?
Yeah, of course. Prostate specifically,
yes,
part of the screening is to do something in the physical examination called digital rectal examination, where now the doctor has to insert his finger in a patient's anus or rectum so that to palpate for the prostate. So generally, I mean, this is not a comfortable procedure for most of the patients. That's why they've been shying away. But thanks to, of course, awareness campaigns, now people are fully aware. People came from far away as Kiambu to come for the screening today.
Right. Now, what are some of the treatment options that we have for prostate cancer?
Okay, treatment options include chemotherapy, radiotherapy, and surgery. Usually, treatment depends on the stage of the cancer. All cancers usually need to be staged because it starts small, then it grows and it breaks into the neighboring adjacent structures, then it spreads to the blood and it can go up to the lungs or the liver, where now it is referred to as end-stage cancer. But so when it is early, actually surgery can be offered because surgery goes in, takes out whatever is cancerous before it spreads to other, and that can be 100% curative. But now when it is found late, and that's when now we have symptoms, usually now we need something that can work into the system. So now we need chemotherapy, which is actually drugs, cancer drugs, put into your system and try to reduce or ablate the cancer cells.
Right, so, you know, this is obviously something. I mean, today we also had a large turnout because, number one, it was free, doctor, not to forget, yeah. Right? And, you know, such free screenings should be more prevalent. But coming back to you, Laban, you know, let's talk a little bit about more liquid biopsy. And let's have a look at the costs over here. You probably would take a CT scan, you know, we would go through PET scans, we'd go through all the blood tests. Those do cost relatively more. What is the comparison here? How much would the cancer patient or one patient or, you know, just a regular patient be paying for the liquid biopsy test to be performed?
So the liquid biopsy test right now in Kenya goes for 70,000 shillings, which is not cheap.
No,
but
it's not.
It's not as expensive as it would cost in America or Europe, where it goes for about 400,000 shillings. But we see it as a cost-saving tool, especially if you look at it as an early detection tool. So basically, it is the most sensitive way to test for early detection of cancer because it looks for the molecules. You know, it's more sensitive than palpation with your fingers, or more sensitive than looking at a scan for an MRI. It can detect cancer from the smallest of masses, yeah?
That is fantastic news.
It can detect cancer from 20 times smaller than a PET scan can detect, yeah?
Yes.
So for early stage and for early stage cancer and recurrent cancer, it's the most sensitive tool. So basically this would save a person using the wrong drugs for a very long time. Apart from just detecting, it can tell you the genes that are affected, which could be causing resistance to a particular therapy. So this would inform the patient and the doctor as early as 2 weeks after trying out a treatment that these drugs are not working.
And this test can be done at any point in time. A patient is perhaps undergoing chemotherapy or radiotherapy. Eliel, would you say that?
Yes, it is being used when you are doing monitoring. It is the only test which is able to tell you if the drugs you are using is helping you or not. It is also the only test which you are able to test all type of cancers at a go, because you are just doing once. Also, it is the only test which will be able to tell you, no second casing here. It's the only test which is going to tell you, which type of cancer do you have? It first answers the question, which type of cancer do you have? Do you have cancer or not? That's another question it answered. Then, which type of therapy are you supposed to use? Another thing which answers.
Because you see, what happens in this case, Dr. I think that the times that, and especially the case over here in Kenya, the minute most patients are diagnosed with cancer, they're immediately sent to referral hospitals that, you know, perhaps don't even offer the whole package. Very few hospitals offer the whole package here. But here you are in KNH, and, you know, some of the few treatments is you have to go through chemo, you have to go through radio. Very little oral chemotherapy is the question over here. So in that case, when you say, and this is the thing, some patients will not respond to so many of these treatments available. So are you trying to say here that this is a definite answer, that if you're meant for chemotherapy, what type of chemotherapy are you going to have, and it's going to be successful? Are you trying to say that?
Yes. I want us first to know that we have another therapy called immunotherapy.
Yes, immunotherapy, yes.
We have immunotherapy.
It's prevalent in Canada.
Yes.
Yeah.
Our test is able to tell you which type of drug are you supposed to use. Are you supposed to use chemotherapy or not? are you supposed to use certain drugs or not? You know, what I want you to know, like for example, here in the medication here in Kenya, what we usually do is that, for example, when my brother, let's say my brother have prostate cancer and I have prostate cancer, they put us on the same drug, which is not supposed to be the case. We are testing the gene. We are able to know which type of a gene mutated to become cancer for Laban, and which one for me, and which drug is working for me, alien, and which drug is working for Laban.
This is really intriguing.
Yes.
Doctor, what's your take on that? You think you're going to be out of a job soon?
Okay. Quite interesting. I mean, yeah, okay, it makes sense from, there are certain cancers like, you see even for prostate, there's a modality of treatment called hormonal treatment, where you manipulate the hormones.
Can we perhaps get into the types of prostate cancers?
Types, yeah. Even like breast cancer, he's talking of immunotherapy. There's immunohistochemistry, that if you remove some tissue, then it goes to the lab. It can actually profile the hormone, like we have estrogen receptors, progesterone receptors, something called HER2 receptors. All those are done routinely, even here in Kenya, for breast cancer. Then when they are positive, for instance, patient is positive for estrogen receptors, then you give a specific treatment to block the estrogen receptors.
But that is taking time. These guys are saving time. Is that what they're
These
saying?
guys are saving time.
Yeah.
I haven't experienced it, but very exciting. I mean, that will be, I think, one of the biggest things.
Right. Let's talk a little about the risk factors for one to get prostate cancer. Lifestyle, we already know, but what else are some of the main causes for one, you know, to have prostate cancer? And why specifically at the age of 40 does it hit people?
Yeah. So, like all the other cancers, I mean, most of the cancers, the causes, direct causes for these cancers are not known. So you have things called risk factors. Risk factors are not really causes. They are like contributing factors that you have in your life that have been shown through research that they might contribute to the cancer. So like things like smoking, alcohol, dietary, like now omega-3 fats, age. So with age, like for prostate, all men, their prostate keeps on growing as they grow. In fact, it's probably the only organ in the body that it continues growing even towards old age, as opposed to other parts of the body. So as the prostate grows, somehow it's seen for like 1/3 of the patients, it doesn't disturb them. You have a big prostate, maybe at 70 years, 80 years, and quite okay.
Today at the camp, Doctor, I mean, we had 400 people who came for screening.
Yes.
What was something common that you perhaps picked up among all these patients who came in for screening and individuals? What was common among them? Any particular reason that you could say, this seems to be a recurrent cause? Was it lifestyle, diet? What was it that you could point out tonight?
First of all, I mean, there are very few cases of cancer. You know, I mean, in our population,
thank God, yes.
I mean, yeah, it's a small percentage of them. Then usually the main underlying factor is age. I mean, if you're more than 65 years of age, that's an important risk factor. Then family history. I mean, if your father had prostate cancer, your brother had prostate cancer, that's a strong determinant for you to get prostate cancer. These other factors are really weak factors, like, I mean, diet, smoking probably is quite a risk factor, but all these others are quite very weak factors.
Right. Yeah. Back to liquid biopsy, Eliel. The comparison now between getting these medications, because once you've identified the cancer, the system somehow, I'm visualizing it like a really 3D high-tech kind of thing, sorry, because I'm very excited about it. Okay, so, I mean, are you also looking into the provision of drugs? How cost-effective are these drugs going to be? Because when it comes to cancer, when it comes to drugs in Kenya, our Wanjikus out there can't afford them. What are you going to do to help them? Yes, you've identified. So now what is the solution to that?
Okay, I want us to understand. First, let's go back. Like we have 900 type of cancers, more than.
Yes, more than.
Yes, and only, I want you to understand, we have only 65 drugs approved in the world. Then our test is able to tell you, do you first have drug? Yes, you have cancer. Which type of cancer? Then do you have drug? Then if you don't have, you know, we have drugs which are in clinical trials. It will put you into clinical trial drugs if you don't have drugs. and it will be able to tell you, it will be able to tell you if how is your drug already in the system or not. Is it working for you? Then it also saves time, save money, because you are buying drugs which you are very sure is going to work on you purposely for you. Then I want us to understand also immunotherapy. We have immunotherapy, chemotherapy, surgery, and radiotherapy. The success rates of all these, even doctor can agree with me, they are less than 3%. That's a doctor can agree with me. That was research done in Australia.
No, but not in Kenya. Do we have success rates higher than that?
Yeah, for early cancer, surgery is almost 100%.
I mean, we're not doing that bad. Come on. We're not that bad.
But usually patients present late. He has a point. Patient presents because once you have symptoms, it's already late cancer. Yeah. So that one, yeah, success rate is quite.
But are you bringing these drugs? Because we don't have all the drugs in the market.
Yes. Now,
as I say.
Yes, please, Lagan.
On the drugs, not all the drugs in the market.
Yes.
First, because people have not been able to do this test. If you're able to do this test, you're able to know which drug you're looking for.
Yes.
And sometimes they're not available.
No, we live in a globalized economy, a globalized world.
So you'll be bringing in these drugs?
Once you know the
drugs, are you also looking into those possibilities?
We are not bringing these labs as okay, these drugs. As we are a genetic information laboratory, but the information we produce will tell you where to get these drugs. It will tell you which companies provide these drugs. It will also tell you which hospitals are running clinical trials using these drugs. And the beauty about these drugs is, let's say for cancer, like prostate cancer, for like in this case, you have drugs that are not targeted towards the hormones, so they don't castrate someone. So they help someone also have a better quality of life, even if they are surviving after, prostate cancer treatment.
Yes.
So all this is dependent on identifying the appropriate genes for that particular cancer. Okay. Because these drugs just don't work on survival, but also quality of life.
Right. Let's quickly, because we're out of time now. Elliot, perhaps tell me, how many patients have you performed the liquid biopsy test on?
So far, we've tested about 50 patients.
In Kenya?
In Kenya.
What is the response? What is the result? What is the success rate?
So far, we have a few patients who are checking if they have any relapse in cancer.
Do they?
So some of them found it a bit early, and they're able to act accordingly.
Again, with the system telling you if this drug is not working, then this is another drug that we can try.
Yes.
So it does fail sometimes.
No, it doesn't fail.
But it does not give a 100% guarantee of cleaning out this particular cancer.
Now, the information, you see, what we do is test for the presence of cancer.
Yes, and then the drug is sort of given to you, like, okay, this could be a good drug to try.
Yes.
But would not necessarily work, and then it gives you a second option?
No. The drugs are listed. So basically, they are listed based on that genetic target. So one thing we tell you is which drug will work and which drug will not work.
Okay.
So based on that information, a patient should be able to pick drugs that should work. Okay. So far, we only started testing in May, and up to where we've reached, patients have only started changing their mode of treatment. So we are still waiting to track on their full overall performance. But we've seen a change in treatment. For some people,
and are they doing better?
Yes. For some people, they had to travel from Murang'a outside Nairobi to come to Kenyatta for chemotherapy. Now they don't have to do that. They are on targeted therapy, which only focuses on the cancer instead of the general cells, and it's a tablet that they can take from their little home.
Oh, right. Yeah. Okay. Sorry, you were just going to add something very briefly.
Also, we have patients who have been undergoing chemotherapy, and other type of therapies. We are able to monitor for them that if their drugs are working, if the chemotherapy they are using is working or not, and if it has if the cancer has reduced.
Okay, good. I'm definitely going to be your next patient for that. Sorry, but on a light note, I mean, I have to make full use of this liquid biopsy test. Very interesting. I think this is a milestone as a cancer patient, I would say. So we definitely hope that there are more success cases. And I'm sure one thing that all cancer patients want to know is, are we on the right track? Yes. Mindset, lifestyle is one thing, but drugs also have to work in a combination. I think we all agree with that. Thank you. It's been a pleasure having you all on my panel. You know, from Laban to Elio and Dr. Tari, thank you so much over here for being with me.